Big Boar Barbecue presents Seven Rivers Racing on KQEG-TV with Dan the Voice Diker, Billy Doc Niles, and Paul the Statman Riker. Brought to you by Big Boar Barbecue, Highway 16 West Salem, in La Crosse on 3rd Street downtown and George and Gillette Street. Big Boar Barbecue, now that's a mouthful. By Carey Heating and Air Conditioning, your residential specialist, serving the La Crosse area since 1929. Carey Heating and Air Conditioning. And by the D&D Diner. Good food, fine wine. On Theater Road in Sparta, next to the BP Truck Stop.
Hi again, race fans. Dan Diker, KQEG-TV, Seven Rivers Racing at a track that was built in 1964 and is going to see a rejuvenation in 2018. I want to welcome you into the program, our 8th year of the program, and I've always wanted to do this at this racetrack. We're going to dedicate the entire show today, a little mini documentary to Greg Oliver, the new lessee of the racetrack, and the history from 1964 all the way to 2018. And you seem going to see some snow on the ground right here. Rick Porter's behind the camera. We're going to do a little bit of history and talk a little bit more about the racing back in the day to getting it back up to par here in 2018. New lessee Greg Oliver joins us with the Go Racing Productions and promotions, I should say. I should know. I've worked for the guy for a couple of years. Now, how are we doing, Greg?
I'm doing well. We just we need some sunshine and some dry weather right now.
We do. As you can see, I'll kind of split the camera shot right there, and Rick Porter will show you a little bit of snow left on the racetrack here from a couple of weeks ago. You can even see it up in the hills and up in the grandstands. Kind of makes for a beautiful shot, though, of a racetrack that I've always said is in the beautiful part of God's country. It's like somebody just came up here and dropped a racetrack in the middle of the woods. And if you look at some of the scenery up here, obviously not now, Greg, but during the summer and the fall, I mean, this can be one gorgeous facility.
Oh, this is really nice, really beautiful. The trees in the background, it makes for an awesome setting for pictures and racing and the racing the way it should be.
1964, and when I drove up here, I came up here an hour early of our taping just to kind of reflect back and to think how many thousands of race car drivers have been on this track since 1964, and some of the names, obviously, that went from here to NASCAR and other different series throughout the country throughout the years. As you stand here, it kind of gives you the chills, not with the snow.
Oh, yeah, it does. It really does. It's I don't know if people necessarily realize the names that have come through here, the Dick Trickles, the Everett Foxes, the Dave Troots of the world. Through the years, there's been some really big names, and some guys, like you say, have gone on to NASCAR or other championships, have come through here. They got their start here.
And you were telling me, I've announced out here off and on since 2007, but I've never really had a chance to talk to someone about, everyone's seen the Kenny Hutchins video of when he violently took his bomber, a Thunderstock, whatever they called him back then, which I'd now found out was right behind where Rick Porter is standing at, as where the entrance to pit, where the exit to pit road. This track has seen some configuration changes over the years.
Oh, yes, it has. If when you come here and you're sitting in the grandstands, if you look at what looks like it could be an inner groove, that is the original pavement, the original track from 1964. And then when Dave Thompson purchased the track and reconfigured to the surface that we have today, it made it a little bit bigger and a little bit, maybe a little racier too.
One thing I've always liked is that portion, if Rick can kind of get a shot of that there, of the inner groove, that's never gone away. And there's always a portion of a racetrack that never goes away because of the history behind it. Do you like that that's still there?
Oh, absolutely. I'm, as you know, and probably many people know, I'm a history buff when it comes to racing, as it is anyway. So to see that original pavement still sitting down there, being used for runoff or whatever it can be, I think it's a pretty neat part of this racetrack that has still survived all these years.
You know, Rick and I were walking the racetrack before we started taping. There's a drop-off coming out of turn 3 that I can't believe, like Rick said, that guys aren't wrecking tires left and right, man. That's awfully nasty between 3 and 4.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why when Dave redid the track, why he didn't make that a little smoother, or if there was more in the plan that just never got done before his passing. But yeah, there's a bit of a lip over there for give the driver something to think about.
Finally got a chance to hit the Oliver Historic Basement here about a month or so ago. Greg's been wanting me to see some of the history he has down there. You've got original racing uniforms from way back in the day. When was the first time you put on a uniform and raced here at Tomah?
Actually, this is where I started racing when I was 16 years old. It was called Wild Bill's Track and Trail. He the story I was told is he bought the property, the land, and happened to have a racetrack on it. And his buddies said, "Well, let's go racing again." So I saw a race car in Kurt Tickey from Bangor. He had a car sitting in his shop, and I'm like, "Well, what is this?" And he started to tell me about it. I ran home and said, "Dad, they're racing at Tomah. Where's there a racetrack in Tomah?" Another week we were up here, and 2 weeks later I had a race car.
And what year was that?
1981.
And then Rick Porters, who's doing our filming today, said you raced out here in the 82, 83 kind of a region. It was funny because we were walking through Victory Lane taking some pictures, and Rick says, "Hey, I've never been in here before in a car." So I said, "I'm bringing you to Victory Lane right now."
Yeah, back in the day, they didn't even actually have a Victory Lane. You just kind of old school, sat in a car and held the flag, and the photographer took your picture with the grandstands in the background.
As we stand out here, and we're in the entrance of Turn 1, and of course the pit road is just to my right. Before we end this segment here, give me a couple of memories as you stand here right now that automatically pop in your head every time you come to this racetrack.
Actually, one of the funny ones is Steve Schulze. I think it was the very first day I brought the car here. Steve Schulze, we were pitted up there, and I had to squeeze between a couple of cars, and I drug Steve's bumper across the side of my car. So the first dents I actually put in my first race car were in the pit area before I even hit the track.
Of course, some of the local flavor. Steve Schulze ran here for a long time. Billy Miller ran here for a long time. And it's neat to see now that some of these guys that are grandpas, their kids and now their grandchildren are getting their feet wet here at the Tomah Sparta Speedway. Oh,
absolutely. I mean, that's what racing is. It's a family deal. My dad raced, my grandfather raced. Like I said, Bill Miller, his kids, his grandkids are racing. It's awesome to see families, and you walk through the grandstand on a Friday night up here. There's a lot of families enjoying the races.
Well, our documentary is going to continue here as part of KQEG TV's Seven Rivers Racing. I'm Dan Dyke, along with the Lease E this year, Greg Oliver. We're going to talk more in our next segment of how he became a part of this racetrack this year in 2018. Rick Porter's helping produce the program today, even have part of the Frog family that's came out, Lonnie Wood Jr. and a family. Of course, I texted him, and he said, "This is my home." And we're going to talk more about home next on Seven Rivers Racing.
You don't have to fly to Kansas City to get great barbecue.
4 years in a row and counting. Hi, this is Jerry Beyer at Big Boar Barbecue. Once again, La Crosse County has voted us the best barbecue and best caterer in La Crosse County. Making great ribs and great barbecue has always been my passion, and it means a great deal to me that you love what we do. If you haven't tried our ribs, pulled pork, brisket, or smoked chicken, try it and you'll agree. Big Boar Barbecue, a delicious mouthful.
Yeah!
American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is built to a higher standard, so you can focus on the problems in your life that actually matter.
Hey, Dave.
Like giving Jeff his ladder back before he takes it back. Or where to put the food when you both get the groceries. Or the doggy door that just became a raccoony door. Whatever you're worrying about, it won't be this. American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, built to a higher standard.
Call today for your free estimate on a new American Standard system, or schedule online at careyheating.com.
Welcome back, KQEG TV 7 Rivers Racing. I'm Dan Dyke here at the very historic Tomah Sparta Speedway, and the track Lease E, general manager. Man, it's going to wear a lot of hats out here. Greg Oliver joining us as our documentary continues on this very historic racetrack. If you see behind us right here, that was something that was done a couple years ago. I remember when Mr. Thompson had passed away, Mr. Inglet came in. One of the things he did right off the bat was the concessions. He wanted those remade, reconstructed, and repainted. And as you see now today, kind of in between you and I, they still look fantastic.
Oh, yeah. It's a very unique and very neat concession area with the enclosed patio area. We got picnic tables up there, some taller tables to lean on and shoot the breeze with your buddies with. They've done a really neat job of making this facility what it is today.
You know, another historic part of this racetrack that has nothing to do with racing that I found out, I think it was about a month or so ago. If you look in the grandstands, some of the seating up there came from Camp Randall Stadium. I think that is one of the neatest things that has nothing to do with racing whatsoever, but it's Wisconsin rich.
Yeah, exactly. Dave, in his scrounging that he did, he managed to get, when they redid Camp Randall, the fiberglass bleachers. So up here, what's covered, the wooden bleachers are covered in Camp Randall fiberglass.
Any idea of how old that is?
Well, I'd hate to even guess how old that is. I've probably been here for 15 years or so. So who knows beyond that?
Just another part of the history that I keep talking about here at this racetrack. We were one of the most famous videos I think people have seen out there that I was introduced to when I first moved here was Kenny Hutchins, beloved vintage racer. Everybody in the entire area knows him. He got his feet wet here as well. This was the track, and it was funny. I was having you point out to me where he actually wiped out and tore up some trees. As we're standing here on the front straightaway, this part of the track's never really changed.
Not really, no. If you could look like when you're here behind where Rick is standing is about 8 feet of the original racetrack. We're probably standing middle of what would have been the original front stretch. This is kind of basically the same thing. They just put new asphalt down when Dave reconfigured it.
As we look into the infield as well, I always think it's kind of interesting when I see some different racetracks. Was this infield ever used for parking your stock cars, or has it always been on the outside?
The pit area has always been outside the racetrack. The infield, in the old photos, you'll see kind of the traditional safety truck, ambulance. At the very beginning, they had a vehicle that they used as their PA announcer system. The guy sat in there and talked, had the microphones and speakers, and then you had to listen from the infield to the announcer.
That would be kind of neat if I had a little crow's nest out here to announce him this year. That's too much turning around, though, man. I've tried to do that in the past, and even when I'm at a different racetrack staying in the pits, you always have to do this, and you got to go back around and see where the leaders are at. I'll be comfortable right up on the top there.
Oh, yeah. And they used to have the old-fashioned judges stand, and that's where the races were scored and stuff, was on the inside at the start-finish line. I think the same thing, just to keep track of what was going on in the racetrack. It would, I don't know how they did it, but it had to be a cool job.
Well, Lonnie Wood Jr.'s mom is going to be doing your scoring up there this year. Maybe we can talk her into coming back down here and doing it like it was 50 years ago.
Well, I always tried to talk when I was flagging at La Crosse. A couple times I mentioned to Chuck about flagging from the inside of the racetrack like they did in the old days, but he was never too keen on that idea.
Of course, that would be interesting. And, of course, I saw some pictures in your basement of what the scoring looked like back. Was that the North La Crosse Speedway, or was that this one in West Salem?
I think you probably saw all three of them, but the scoring, I think the judges stand that we looked at was from Tomah here, and I believe those photos were from probably opening day or very close to it, because the infield was still pretty much dirt from all the earth moving that had gone on.
So any other changes for those that have not been here at the Tomah Sparta Speedway many, many years, or those that have scantily been coming back over the years, any other changes that we can expect from what we see behind us? I love being able to see the red and white from the road. I mean, it just kind of gives you, I was doing it when I came here, going, there's the Tomah Sparta Speedway.
No, we really aren't going to change a whole lot. Basically just try to spruce it up, knock the weeds down, maybe some fresh paint. We want to do a couple little things in the bathroom areas. So I don't think you'll see anything dramatically change here, but I think there'll be a lot of little changes that you're going to see over the course of the summer that will make your experience either as a racer and a fan much better.
And, of course, I mean, your mind is probably this big when it comes to what you would like to do here. You just don't have time.
Correct. Yeah, my mind. I was actually had a phone call with Greg McCarnes last night, and I have a to-do list on my phone, and I add to the bottom and take it off the top, and it's not getting any smaller by any stretch. So, but yeah, there's a lot of things that I would like to do. There's only so many things that we can do.
The opener here at the Tomah Sparta Speedway coming up on April 29th. Praying Mother Nature just leaves us alone by that time. And then May 11th, Friday night racing will continue here at the Tomah Sparta Speedway. The website people can go to, because I know a lot of people ask me, hey, where can I find the schedule?
The easiest is to go to gopromo.racing, and that covers everything that I do. But for this racetrack specifically, TomahSpartaSpeedway.com.
And, of course, you're going to have to wheedle through the other 3 series that he has. Those 3 series are going to make stops here this year, too, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. All 3 series, the Mid-American Stock Cars, Great Northern Sportsman, and Midwest Dash will all be here one time throughout the summer.
All righty, we're going to continue our historic trek through the Tomah Sparta Speedway next here on KQEG-TV.
You don't have to fly to Kansas City to get great barbecue.
Big Boar Barbecue is up and running on the north side of La Crosse. Hi, this is Jerry Beyer at Big Boar Barbecue. Yes, the food truck is open at George and Gillette Street to make it easier for you north siders to find out why La Crosse County has voted us 4 years in a row as the best barbecue and best caterer in La Crosse County. Big Boar Barbecue, Highway 16 West Salem, 3rd Street downtown, and now open at George and Gillette Street.
At the D&D Diner, you can expect hometown meals, hometown service, and hometown prices. Hi, this is Dale with the D&D Diner in Sparta, your new home for great food, cold beer, and fine wines. Whether it's a big breakfast, a tasty lunch, or traditional dinner, you'll find it on our menu. Whether it's Friday night fish dinners, Saturday night prime rib, or our many daily specials, your place for great food at fantastic prices is the D&D Diner in Sparta.
Welcome back, Seven Rivers Racing, KQEG TV. I'm Dan Diker here at the historic Tomah Sparta Speedway. The man that's running the show this year is Greg Oliver. Of course, raced here, probably flagged here many times. And if it comes to motorsports and short track racing, Greg has had his hands in it, except for this year. This will be your first time leasing as he laps. Every time I bring that up, radio or whatever it is, he kind of giggles in the back of his head. And he's thinking, man, what am I doing? What are you doing?
I'm just trying to promote short track racing in Wisconsin. I grew up with it from the day I was born, and this is my passion in life. And if I can have an impact and make it better and continue it on, that's what I'm trying to do.
When did the conversation first begin? And I mean, I heard the rumor mill shortly after Oktoberfest. I think I shocked you when I sent you a text one night. When did the conversation start coming into play that I want to run that racetrack? Well,
actually, truth be told, back in about 2011, Dave contacted me to get this open back then. It didn't happen. Dave's health had failed on it, was failing on him by that time, and so I kind of left it alone. But every time I came up here, somebody would say, "Hey, Greg, you want to take this over?" And I kept saying no. Last year, right towards the end of the year, the lady that owns the track, she had talked to me. One of her representatives called me right about Oktoberfest time, and I'm like, well, maybe if there's a time, maybe this is a time to do it, because the opportunities to run racetracks and do these kinds of things are few and far between. Right. So I just said, you know what, let's give it a whirl, and go from there and make it better.
You know, I've talked to a lot of people since that your press release came out 3-4 months ago that this is what was in the plans, that were just completely shocked. Number one, that Greg Oliver is going to run Tomah. Number two, the effort you're doing. We hate to bring it up because we know racetracks close on a yearly basis. I mean, no matter what the situations are. Here you've got Little Tomah, Wisconsin, a racetrack that's been sitting here since 1964, is going to remain open. And to a lot of people, it's like angelic bells are going off.
Yeah, it is. It's a cool racetrack. From what I've seen in the last few years of my involvement up here with the sportsmen and dash cars, and then just coming up as a race fan, the people in the Tomah Sparta area are very passionate about this racetrack. They want to see it survive. They want to see it get better. They want to see it get bigger. So I just have to figure out how to capture all that and get the people what they want. They want a racetrack in Tomah. It's my job to figure out how to make it better.
And it's one thing, when I was doing some marketing stuff with England a couple years ago, I said, you have such a great base to use the terms family and history and short track in a small town kind of a thing. And I'm sure those are some of the things you can use as well this year, is bringing the families that used to race here 30, 40, 50 years ago and start bringing their families back out again.
Well, that would be awesome. I've talked to a few this winter, of people that, oh yeah, I used to race there, I used to come out. Hopefully I've done enough talking to them to get them maybe to come back out and give Tomah Sparta Speedway another shot. I think we're going to put on a great show for the fans. The racers are excited. There's good racing here. So maybe we can get some new people to come out, and maybe people that kind of gave up on it years ago, maybe they'll come back again.
You know, I've talked to a lot of drivers that have not been here in probably 10, 15 years that can't remember what the track looks like, and they own late models. And they said, hey, when are they ever going to widen that track to run late models? We can. I think we ran a late model show, Rick, 2 or 3 years ago out here. Kelsey Schultz out of New Lisbon said that was one of the best times she'd ever had, and it was a racetrack on her bucket list. That's got to kind of make you feel good, number one, to hear, hey, that track's on my bucket list. Number two, you can run late models out here, and you will.
Oh, absolutely. We will run on September 16th. The CWRA Super Late Models will run on Sunday afternoon, double features. And those guys are extremely excited to come race here. One of their big people involved with it is Tom Reffner. And Tom raced here back in the 60s when this track was first built. So for him, it'll be kind of like going back to where it all started for him. But yeah, we can race late models here. It is a little bit of a tighter track, but I think the racing when those guys get here will be excellent.
And you had also mentioned Dick Trickle. I remember seeing a picture that I posted a couple weeks ago of his 99 car sitting right down here where you thought that was maybe the very first year this track had opened up. Good possibility the Dick Trickle Memorial is going to be here this year.
Yes, the Dick Trickle Memorial Project will be here. They're going to bring their whole big setup to raise funds for the Dick Trickle Memorial. I'm working with the CWRA to do something in Dick's honor on that event. We're still working out some details yet, but yeah, it'll be a cool deal because Dick has a very big presence in Tomah with Francis Kelly and the TP Supper Club back in those days. So there's a big Dick Trickle presence in Tomah, so I'd like to honor that in some way if we can.
Not only Dick Trickle coming back, but the Midwest Vintage Series. I've talked to these guys since the announcement came out that you were going to be opening this up and getting the show where we want to get it. And there's some guys, Ken Lewis, Kenny Hutchins, Scott Moldenhauer, they can't wait to come back out here just because of the memories they've had.
Oh, absolutely. Like Kenny and Scott Moldenhauer, they raced out here back when it was hobby stocks and bomber type cars. So I'm sure for them to come back out with a vintage car will it'll bring them right back to like 10, 15 years ago when they were in their glory, so to speak.
Well, again, the historic Tomah Sparta Speedway is going to be reopening here this year. Well, I wouldn't say reopening, but a rejuvenation, I guess you could say. And we're going to finally get a little bit more information about this historic track coming up next on Seven Rivers Racing.
You don't have to fly to Kansas City to get great barbecue.
4 years in a row and counting. Hi, this is Jerry Beyer at Big Boar Barbecue. Once again, La Crosse County has voted us the best barbecue and best caterer in La Crosse County. Making great ribs and great barbecue has always been my passion, and it means a great deal to me that you love what we do. If you haven't tried our ribs, pulled pork, brisket, or smoked chicken, try it and you'll agree. Big Boar Barbecue, a delicious mouthful.
Yeah!
American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning is built to a higher standard, so you can focus on the problems in your life that actually matter.
Hey, Dave.
Like giving Jeff his ladder back before he takes it back. Or where to put the food when you both get the groceries. Or the doggy door that just became a raccoony door. Whatever you're worrying about, it won't be this. American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, built to a higher standard.
Call today for your free estimate on a new American Standard system or schedule online at careyheating.com.
At the D&D Diner, you can expect hometown meals, hometown service, and hometown prices. Hi, this is Dale with the D&D Diner in Sparta, your new home for great food, cold beer, and fine wines. Whether it's a big breakfast, a tasty lunch, or traditional dinner, you'll find it on our menu. Whether it's Friday night fish dinners, Saturday night prime rib, or our many daily specials, your place for great food at fantastic prices is the D&D Diner in Sparta.
And we're back one more time. KQEG TV 7 Rivers Racing. I'm Dan Dyker along with Greg Oliver. He's the man that's going to run the Tomah Sparta Speedway here in Tomah, just on Flagstaff Road off of Highway 21 here in 2018. And hopefully where we're standing right now, Greg, you're going to see a constant line of race fans, not only on April 29th, but Friday nights, May 11th, and on.
That would be awesome to see. Yeah, to see a nice line of people coming through the gates here would be. It make me feel a whole lot better about what I'm trying to do here.
What would you think are some of the biggest challenges you're facing now and that you're going to face? I mean, like we were just talking before we switched locations to tape this, you've got a billion things going through your head.
Right, I do. And probably my biggest challenge is learning probably this side of the racetrack, the fans, the concessions, the beverages, learning that side of it. The racing side I've been doing all my life. Right. Taking care of the fans and mom and dad and the kids is the new thing for me to learn.
And, of course, I've worked with you all 11 years. I've been at La Crosse Speedway, and I either see you flag or with announcing with the traveling series. I've been watching you race directing. So watching you run this, I mean, I don't even think I would see you much during the summer up here.
Well, Probably not, because if I look at the other racetracks I've been to while we're traveling, the guy that runs the racetrack, yeah, he's a ghost. He's here, there, and everywhere. And I would assume probably I will be the same way. Yeah, I'll say hi, Dan, when you get here, and have a good night, Dan, when you leave.
Tell you, now it's at Madison with a Great Northern Sportsman. I see Greg McCarnes maybe once a night. I see his wife running. Angie's running all over the place. Lacrosse Speedway, I hardly see Chuck, but maybe twice. Dave Nelke, I don't think gets to stand still and watch races. So did you get a new pair of running shoes?
I haven't yet, but I may have to invest in a pair, yes.
Staffing-wise, I thought it was really neat that you put it out on social media that the staff that were here last year, hey, if you want to come back and help us get this thing back on the right track, you're more invited to come back.
Oh, absolutely. The staff that worked here last year and the last couple of years, again, when I've been here, very friendly. They know what they're doing. I've had some meetings with a few of them, and they've got some ideas to make what we're doing better. Yeah, the people, as I said before, the people in this area are very invested in this racetrack, and that includes the staff.
And I tell you, he's off camera. Lonnie Wood Jr. Has been racing here for quite a long time, part of the Frog family. He's going to be back. His dad's going to be here. And I love watching his mom, Sandy, and his sister when they're up on the scoring tower. You can laugh and have as much jokes and fun as you want, but when it comes time for qualifying and it comes time for racing, when they're the ones scoring, they're a whole different group.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of the unique thing about, I'll say the family that works here, the Wood family and everybody else, as they have fun when they have fun, but when it's time to go, they're serious. They put their hat on and they're officials, they're staff.
Another part of history that's going to come back to the Tomah Sparta Speedway, as we're talking about the Wood family, daughter Caitlin is going to do something for you that was done here a long time ago, which I simply love the concept of.
Right. I kind of test Caitlin, and I have to help her get her going here a little bit and give her some ideas. But we're going to try to recreate the old-fashioned 1960s, 70s race program. Try to do some driver profiles. We'll have the points, maybe last week's results. Change it up a little bit, but yeah, just a simple paper folded copy for the fans to kind of know what's going on here and who's who at Tomah Sparta Speedway.
Tell you, when I was 10, 11 years old, and when we lived in Sun Prairie at the Angel Park Speedway, I got that program every single week, and I bet you I had about 5 years stacked up in my bedroom of every single one we would go to. My dad and I would go, and this is some of the history we hope you folks do here, is when you bring your sons and daughters up. My dad and I would walk into the racetrack, and as soon as we would get our food, we'd sit down, and we would always circle somebody in the program we thought was going to win that night. There was a lot of tears because I took that to heart when my driver would lose or break down, of course, running midgets and sprint cars back in the day. But it's just some of the history that is going to be coming back here.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you've been in my basement, and my basement of my house is full of those old programs.
It is.
And it's so cool to look at, to see a Tomah Sparta Speedway program with Gordy Clay, Don James, just different guys that have raced here through the years, and kind of relive that with them a little bit. Picture of Dick Trickle with a buzz cut. I mean, that's pretty cool.
All right, so let's talk about qualifying times. What time is racing? Of course, April 29th is going to be a Sunday. The regular Friday night racing starts May 11th. Let's talk about the Friday night format.
On the Friday night format, we will open the main gate here at 6 o'clock. Qualifying right after that, and we'll start racing at 7:30.
And on the dot.
On the dot, yes. We will start on the dot, and we will end on the dot.
Gates open at what time? People can start coming in?
People can start coming in at 6 o'clock.
And what about the pit gates? So some of the drivers that are going to watch this that don't know the times yet, what time will the pit gates open and what time does practice begin?
A regular Friday night's pit gate will open at 4. We'll start practice about 5, qualify at 6, race at 7:30.
What time are they going to get the food going?
I believe the food will be, I probably have to work that out yet, but I believe the food will be going about the same times.
That'll work. So I'll be here about 4 o'clock every Friday. And that's the first thing I'm doing is I'm hitting the concession stand. Some things just don't die no matter what track I announce at.
Absolutely.
All right, Greg, honors to you, kudos to you from a lot of people I've talked to. I can't wait to get this racing season underway. Get rid of the snow, get the green grass out here. Let's get some lines of people out here on a Friday night. Let's go racing.
Absolutely. I'm ready. I'm more than ready to go racing.
All righty, Greg Oliver, you might see him every Friday night, depending upon what he's got going on, as he's about to take on a whole different role here at the Tomah Sparta Speedway. I want to thank Rick Porter for taping this, Lonnie Wood Jr. I want to thank you guys for coming out. You're going to hear a lot about the lily pad out of the grandstands up in the tower this year, and we can't wait. From the Tomah Sparta Speedway, been here since 1964, and yes, it's alive and kicking. In 2018, I'm Dan Dyker. Thanks for watching Seven Rivers Racing.
You've been watching Seven Rivers Racing on KQEG TV with Dan the Voice Dyker, Billy Doc Niles, and Paul the Statman Reichert. Brought to you by Big Boar Barbecue, Highway 16 West Salem, in La Crosse on 3rd Street downtown and George and Gillette Street. Big Boar Barbecue, now that's a mouthful. By Carey Heating and Air Conditioning, your residential specialist, serving the La Crosse area since 1929. Carey Heating and Air Conditioning. And by the D&D Diner, good food, fine wine, on Theater Road in Sparta, next to the B Peak Truck Stop. Thanks for watching Seven Rivers Racing on KQEG TV.